Part 1. You're already in the game. The question is, are you playing or just reacting? Here's something nobody told you when you were growing up. Life isn't happening to you. It's happening through you. Think about that for a second. Really let it land. Right now, this very moment, your mind is running a program. It's broadcasting a frequency. And the world around you, your relationships, your finances, your health, your opportunities, is picking up that signal and reflecting it right back at you. Every single day. Without fail, without exception. You didn't know you were doing this. Nobody taught you. You weren't handed a manual at birth that said, hey, by the way, your thoughts are the most powerful force in the known universe, and they're shaping every single outcome in your life. Instead, you were told to work hard, keep your head down, be realistic, and hope for the best. But hope without understanding is just wishful thinking. And working hard without working smart, without understanding how the actual game works, is like sprinting in the wrong direction and wondering why you never arrive. So let's change that right now, today. Because here's the truth that Florence Scovel Shinn understood over 100 years ago, the truth that thinkers, mystics, scientists, and peak performers have been circling around ever since. Your inner world creates your outer world. Your dominant thoughts, your deeply held beliefs, the words you speak without even thinking. These are the architects of your life. And once you truly get that, not just intellectually, not just as a nice idea you pin on your vision board, but get it in your bones, in your gut, in your nervous system, everything changes. The game nobody explained to you. Imagine you sit down to play chess. You've never seen the board before. Nobody explains the rules. You start moving pieces randomly, sometimes getting lucky, mostly losing. You get frustrated. You think, I'm just not a chess person. You walk away, believing the game is rigged. That's how most people experience life. They're playing without knowing the rules. They're making moves based on fear, habit, reaction, and inherited belief systems that were installed in their minds before they were old enough to decide what they actually wanted to believe. And then they look at the results and either blame themselves or blame the world. But what if you finally learned the rules? What if someone sat down across from you and said, okay, here's how this actually works. Here are the laws that govern what shows up in your life. Here's what your mind is doing, what your words are doing, what your emotions are doing, and here's how to work with all of it instead of against it. That's what this is. That's exactly what we're going to do together. This isn't a fluffy self-help pep talk. This is a serious, practical, deeply transformative exploration of the laws that govern human experience. Laws that don't bend for anyone. Laws that work whether you believe in them or not, just like gravity works whether you believe in it or not. You can fall off a building believing gravity is a myth, and it won't care. It'll still pull you down. The same is true for the mental and spiritual laws we're about to discuss. They operate whether you're conscious of them or not. The difference is, when you're conscious of them, you can start working with them. And that's when life stops feeling like a storm you're surviving and starts feeling like a game you're actually playing. Your mind has 3 floors. Most people only live on one. Let's start with something foundational, something you absolutely need to understand before any of this makes sense. Your mind isn't a single thing. It's more like a building with 3 floors. And most people spend their entire lives on the ground floor, never even knowing the upper levels exist. The ground floor is your conscious mind. This is your everyday thinking self, the part that makes grocery lists, argues with people in your head, scrolls social media, worries about bills, replays old conversations. This is the rational, analytical surface level you. It sees the world as it appears to be, the challenges, the limitations, the problems, the lack, and it's constantly sending those observations down a staircase to the basement, which is your subconscious mind. This is where the real power lives, and here's what makes the subconscious both extraordinary and terrifying. It doesn't evaluate what it receives. It doesn't have an opinion. It doesn't say, hold on, that's a destructive belief. Let me check whether we really want to act on this. It simply receives whatever the conscious mind gives it, whether that's a dream, a fear, a deeply held conviction, or an offhand remark you made to yourself while brushing your teeth, and then it works, tirelessly, ceaselessly, to bring that thing into physical reality. Think of the subconscious as the most powerful, most loyal assistant you've ever had. It never takes a day off. It never questions orders. It just executes. Whatever you impress upon it most deeply, through repetition, emotion, vivid imagination, or strong belief, it goes to work, making happen. This is why a person who deeply believes they'll never be wealthy keeps finding reasons to stay broke, even when opportunities appear. The subconscious is running a program that says, not for you, and so it filters reality through that lens. It literally doesn't see the open doors. This is why someone who grows up believing they're unlovable keeps choosing partners who confirm that belief, or keeps pushing away people who genuinely care for them. The subconscious is running an old script that says this doesn't compute when love shows up in a healthy form. And then there's the top floor, the superconscious mind. This is where we get into territory that makes some people a little uncomfortable. But stay with me. The superconscious is what different traditions have called different things. The higher self, the God within, the universe, infinite intelligence, your deepest wisdom. It's the part of you that already knows your purpose. It already holds the blueprint of your highest potential. It's the part that sends you those sudden flashes of knowing, those aha moments that come out of nowhere, those intuitive nudges that, when you follow them, always seem to lead somewhere meaningful. The superconscious doesn't deal in limitation. It doesn't know fear. It operates on the frequency of what's possible, not what's probable based on your past. It sees the finished version of you, the healthy, thriving, fully expressed version, and it's constantly trying to pull you toward that. Here's your job. Clear the communication channel between your conscious mind and your superconscious. Stop flooding the basement, your subconscious, with fear-based content, with limitation, with I can't, and what if it goes wrong and people like me don't get things like that? Start deliberately choosing what you send down that staircase. Start listening to the whispers from the top floor. That's the game. That's how you play it. Your words are writing your life, whether you know it or not. Let me give you a moment that might stop you cold. Think about the last week. Think about the things you said, out loud or to yourself. The things you said about your health, about money, about your relationships, about your future, about what's possible for you. I'm always broke. Nothing ever works out for me. I'm so bad at this. Every time I try, something goes wrong. I'm terrible with people. I'll never find someone who really gets me. I'm just not that kind of person. These aren't just venting. These aren't just frustration. These are instructions. Your subconscious mind receives every single one of these statements as a directive, as an order, and it obeys with breathtaking precision. Now think about a person who says, "I always seem to miss the bus," and this somehow, uncannily, becomes true for them. Day after day, they arrive just as the doors close. They think it's bad luck. It's not. It's programming. Or think about the person who says, "Something always comes through for me at the last minute." And somehow, mysteriously, again and again, it does. A check arrives unexpectedly. A call comes in just in time. A door opens right when they needed it. People around them marvel at their luck. It's not luck. It's the law. Every word you speak is a decree. Every thought you think is a seed. And your life, every part of it, is the garden that grew from what you planted. The beautiful parts and the thorny parts. The abundance and the lack. The love and the loneliness. All of it started as a thought, a belief, a word, spoken or unspoken, conscious or not. Here's the most important thing you can do right now. Before we go any further, start paying attention to your words, not as a judge, not to beat yourself up every time a negative thought slips through, but as an observer, a curious, compassionate scientist of your own mind. Notice what you're broadcasting. Notice what you're impressing upon your subconscious, because once you see it, you can start to change it, and changing it changes everything. The imaging faculty, the screen of your mind. There's another faculty of mind that deserves your full attention, and it's one you're already using constantly. You just might not be using it consciously. Your imagination, your ability to form mental images. Here's what most people don't understand. Your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. This is not metaphor. This is neuroscience. Studies on athletes have shown that mentally rehearsing a physical skill, just imagining it with full sensory detail, produces measurable changes in muscle memory and performance. The brain fires the same neural patterns whether the event is happening in the physical world or in vivid imagination. Your subconscious doesn't fact-check your mental images. It just receives them, files them as instructions, and goes to work, making them real. This is a two-edged sword. If you spend your days imagining worst-case scenarios, picturing what could go wrong, replaying past failures, visualizing yourself stuck, you are literally programming your mind for those outcomes. You're not being cautious or realistic. You're being your own obstacle. But if you train yourself to hold clear, vivid, emotionally charged pictures of what you want, if you practice seeing yourself healthy, abundant, loved, purposeful, you are giving your subconscious mind a blueprint to work from. And it will work from it, faithfully, relentlessly. Think of your imagination as the most sophisticated software your body runs. What are you coding into it? Here's a practice that can change your life if you take it seriously. Every morning before you look at your phone, before the noise of the world rushes in, spend 5 minutes in deliberate visualization. See yourself, not vaguely, not wishfully, but with crystal clarity and full emotional engagement, living the life you're working toward. Feel the feelings, see the details, make it real in your inner world before it can become real in your outer world. This isn't fantasy. This is the most practical thing you will ever do. Your assignment before Part 2. Before we continue, here's something to sit with, a practice to begin today. For the next 24 hours, become hyper-aware of your self-talk. Every time you catch yourself saying or thinking something that describes a limitation, a fear, or a negative expectation, pause. Don't judge yourself. Just notice. Then gently redirect. Instead of, I'm always stressed, try, I'm learning to find my center. Instead of, nothing ever works out, try, the right things always find a way. Instead of, I can't afford that, try, how can I create more abundance in my life? These aren't lies. They're new instructions. They're new programs being installed in the most powerful computer you'll ever own, your own mind. You've been playing the game of life your whole life. It's time to learn the rules. Part 2. The Law of Abundance, Why There Is Always Enough, and How to Claim What's Yours. Let's talk about something that makes people deeply uncomfortable. Money, abundance, prosperity. Not because these things are bad. They're not. Not because wanting them is shallow. It isn't. But because somewhere along the way many of us absorbed beliefs about money and abundance that are quietly strangling us. Beliefs that feel like wisdom but function like walls. Money is the root of all evil. It's not. The love of money above all else is the issue. Money itself is a tool, a form of energy, a medium of exchange. In itself, it's neutral. Rich people are greedy. Some are. So are some broke people. Character isn't determined by net worth. I should be happy with what I have. Gratitude for what you have is beautiful, but gratitude and desire are not opposites. You can be deeply grateful and still reach for more. It's selfish to want more. Is it? The more resourced you are, the more you can give, contribute, create, and uplift others. Limitation doesn't make you noble. It just makes you limited. Take a breath. Look at which of those beliefs live in your chest. Feel any tension, any resistance? That resistance is the wall. And today, we're going to start dismantling it. There is a supply for every demand. One of the most liberating truths you will ever encounter is this. The universe operates on the principle of infinite supply. Scarcity is a human belief system, not a cosmic law. Think about the ocean. If you walk to the shoreline and fill a cup with seawater, has the ocean become less? Of course not. The ocean doesn't mourn the cup you took. It doesn't worry about running out. It simply is vast, full, constantly replenishing. The field of potential from which your abundance flows is like that ocean. There is enough. There has always been enough. The question has never been whether abundance exists. The question is always, are you open to receiving it? And here's where so many people hit the wall. Not because they don't work hard enough, not because they aren't smart enough or deserving enough, but because deep in their subconscious, at the level of their core operating beliefs, they're running a program that says, not for me, not enough, probably won't last, better not expect too much. And the subconscious faithful servant that it is makes sure those beliefs come true. Let me tell you about someone. Let's call her Maya. She was a talented graphic designer who came to a moment of crisis in her life. Her client base had dried up. Her savings were nearly gone. She was sitting in her apartment one afternoon with her laptop open, no new inquiries in her inbox, and a rising tide of panic in her chest. But Maya had recently started learning about how the mind works. So instead of spiraling, which she really wanted to do, she did something that felt almost absurd in that moment. She got quiet, she breathed, and then she said out loud to herself, there is a supply for every demand. The right clients are looking for exactly what I offer. The way is open, and I am ready. Then she asked herself, Is there anything I'm being led to do right now? And a thought came, almost ridiculous, to update her portfolio with a new style of work she'd been experimenting with but never showed anyone because she thought it was too different. She spent the afternoon doing that instead of refreshing her email in anxiety. 3 days later, a client reached out, not through any of her usual channels, but through a post she'd almost not shared. The client said, "I saw your work and it's exactly what we've been looking for. It's different. It's fresh. We've got a big project." That project led to a full roster within 2 months. Was it magic? No. Was it law? Absolutely. Maya changed what she was broadcasting. She shifted from the frequency of fear and lack to the frequency of openness and supply. And the universe, which always delivers to match your frequency, delivered accordingly. The invisible preparation, digging your ditches before the rain. Here's one of the most counterintuitive lessons in the entire game of life, and it's one that separates the people who actually create change from those who spend their lives waiting for change to happen to them. You must prepare for what you've asked for before there's any sign of it. In the ancient story of 3 generals stranded in a desert, dying of thirst with their armies, a prophet gave them a seemingly insane instruction. Dig ditches, not wait for rain, not pray and hope, but actively, physically, practically dig the ditches that water would fill, even when the sky was cloudless and the ground was cracked and dry. They dug, and the water came. This story isn't really about deserts, it's about you. When you ask, truly ask, from a place of expectant faith rather than desperate pleading, you must then act as if the answer is already on its way. You must prepare for it. You must create the conditions for it. A woman who was struggling to find her own home during an impossible market didn't give in to the impossibility. While everyone around her said, "It's hopeless, there's nothing available, you'll have to store your things and wait," she went and bought towels, new towels, for a bathroom she didn't yet have, for a home that didn't yet exist in her physical reality, but was completely real in her intention. People thought she was delusional. She thought she was faithful. And then, miraculously, the way things always seem miraculous when we don't understand the law behind them, she found the home. Out of hundreds of people searching for the same thing, she found it because she had already prepared, because she had already acted as if. The towels weren't crazy. The towels were the signal to her own subconscious mind, to the universe, to the forces of manifestation, that she was serious, that she was ready, that she wasn't asking from a place of maybe someday, but from a place of this is already done. What ditches do you need to dig? What preparation would signal to your own subconscious and to the universe that you genuinely believe your desire is already on its way? Maybe it's clearing out the closet in your home office to make space for the business you're building. Maybe it's buying the domain name for the project you keep saying you'll launch. Maybe it's updating your LinkedIn profile for the career move you've been dreaming about. Maybe it's making space in your schedule for the relationship you want to attract. The action doesn't have to be large. It has to be faithful. It has to be a real physical declaration that you believe, speaking the word, the creative power of your voice. "I spoke the word" is a phrase that shows up again and again in the oldest wisdom traditions. And it's not poetic flourish. It's pointing to something real and demonstrable. Your spoken words carry a vibration. They land in your subconscious with a different kind of authority than thoughts alone. There's something about moving air with your voice, about committing a thing to sound that makes it more real to your own inner world and, it seems, to the world around you. This is why affirmations, when done right, are genuinely powerful, not as magical incantations, not as denial of reality, but as deliberate instructions to the subconscious, as a retraining of your mental default settings. But here's the key, and this is where most people get affirmations wrong. You can't say, "I am wealthy" 50 times while simultaneously feeling poor and expecting the words to do the work. The words and the feeling must align. The statement must become a genuine reorientation, not just a verbal overlay on top of unchanged beliefs. Here's how to make affirmations actually work. First, find a statement that feels true at the edge of your belief. Not a wild leap that your nervous system immediately rejects, but a stretch that feels possible. Not, "I am a millionaire." When you're struggling to pay rent, your subconscious will just laugh. Maybe, "Money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways," or "I am open to all the abundance the universe has for me," or "My work creates real value, and I am richly compensated for it." Second, say it with feeling, not robotically, not mechanically, but with genuine emotional engagement. Feel what it would feel like if it were already true. Let that feeling fill your body as you speak. Third, say it aloud, often, in the morning before the world gets in, at night before you sleep, in the car, on the walk. Let your voice carry it into the room. Fourth, expect the resistance. Your old programming will push back. Doubts will arise. That's normal. That's the old record playing. Just keep winding the new one. Fifth, back it up with action. When the lead comes, when the intuitive nudge shows up telling you to make the call, send the email, show up somewhere, move on it. Don't reason your way out of it. Just go. What blocks the flow and how to clear it? There are 3 primary energy leaks that block abundance from reaching you. They're so common, so normalized, that you might not even recognize them as the obstacles they are. Resentment. Every time you harbor resentment toward someone, a boss who overlooked you, a partner who hurt you, a family member who held you back, you are leaking energy that could be driving your abundance. Resentment is a poison you drink, hoping someone else will suffer. It doesn't touch the person you resent. It only congests your own channel. The fastest way to unblock your flow of abundance is to forgive, not because those people deserve it, but because you do. Fear. Fear is faith in reverse. It's the same creative force as belief, but aimed at outcomes you don't want. When you worry about losing money, you focus your creative energy on loss. When you catastrophize about your health, you concentrate your imaging faculty on illness. Fear is not protective, it's prophetic. In the worst way, the antidote isn't to pretend fear doesn't exist. It's to feel it, acknowledge it, and then consciously redirect your focus to what you want instead of what you dread. Contempt. This one is subtle and sneaky. Do you have any contempt for money itself? Any hidden disdain for wealthy people? Any part of you that secretly believes that having abundance makes you somehow less spiritual, less genuine, less relatable? Because here's the thing. You cannot attract what you secretly look down on. You cannot receive from a place of contempt. If there's any part of your internal dialogue that speaks about money or abundance with disdain, clean it up. Find your genuine appreciation for what abundance makes possible. Freedom, generosity, creativity, security, impact. Abundance is your birthright, not because you've earned it through suffering, Not because you deserve it more than anyone else, but because you are a conscious, creative being in an infinitely abundant universe. And the law says, what you seek, you can find. What you ask for with genuine faith, you receive. What you prepare for, you attract. Start clearing the channel today. Part 3. The power of your words. Every sentence is a spell. Every thought is a seed. You are, right now, creating your future, not tomorrow, not when you sit down to meditate, not when you're being intentional or philosophical. Right now, in the stream of ordinary thoughts flowing through your mind, in the casual comments you make to coworkers, in the things you say when you stub your toe or open your bank app or see someone succeed at something you want, you are actively, continuously building the reality you will live in next week, next month, next year. This might be the most sobering truth in this entire guide, because it means you don't get a break. You don't get to say, I'm just venting, or I didn't really mean that, or I'm just being realistic. Your subconscious mind does not distinguish between serious declarations and offhand comments. It hears everything. It files everything. It acts on everything. This doesn't mean you need to be hypervigilant and exhausted policing your every thought. That's not sustainable, and it's not the point. But it does mean develop a direction. Develop a general orientation toward possibility rather than limitation, toward abundance rather than lack, toward solutions rather than problems, toward trust rather than fear. Because the average mind, unguided, tends to drift toward the negative. This isn't a moral failing. It's evolutionary. The brain has a negativity bias. It scans for threats. It notices what's wrong before what's right. This was useful when we were surviving the savannah. It's not so useful when it's running on autopilot in your modern life, quietly convincing you that the world is dangerous and scarce and that you better hold on tight. The work of intentional living is, in part, the work of counteracting this default, of training your mind to look for the opening, not just the wall, the opportunity, not just the obstacle, the solution, not just the problem. And it starts with your words, the vibration of every sentence. You speak words aren't neutral. You've felt this your whole life. The difference between hearing I love you and I don't care about you. The difference between you can do this and you'll never make it. Words carry charge. They carry frequency. They land in the body in a way that's measurable, felt, real. And the words you speak most often to yourself and about yourself are doing something very specific. They're creating a resonance, a vibration that you're broadcasting into the world. And the world, which is fundamentally an energetic system, responds to that resonance. Think about the person who says, I always get the worst luck. Over time, they develop a filter, subconscious, automatic, completely outside their awareness, that screens out evidence to the contrary and amplifies evidence that confirms the belief. They literally stop seeing the good things, the lucky breaks, the open doors. Not because those things don't exist, but because their mental programming has made them invisible. Now think about the person who says, I seem to land on my feet somehow. They've developed the opposite filter. They notice opportunities. They remember the times things worked out. They interpret ambiguous situations as potentially positive rather than probably negative. Their subconscious has been trained to find what they keep declaring. Same world, radically different experience. The conversations that are costing you, Let's get honest for a moment. Most of us have at least one relationship in our lives, maybe more, that we could call a drain conversation. A person or a group with whom, almost without fail, the conversation circles around complaint, worry, criticism, gossip, or fear. These conversations feel like bonding. They feel like being real, being honest, being close. And connection is real, but the content of the connection matters. An hour of trading complaints about how hard everything is, how unfair life is, how nobody gets what they deserve, how everything is falling apart. That hour is an hour of programming your subconscious with all of that. It doesn't matter that you are doing it with people you love. The subconscious was listening. It took notes. This doesn't mean you have to be relentlessly positive in a fake, performative way. You're allowed to feel hard things, acknowledge hard things, and talk honestly about challenges. The question is, what's the direction of the conversation? Does it move toward solutions, possibilities, and growth? Or does it circle, spiral, and stay stuck in the problem? The ancient wisdom teachers said that words should serve three purposes: to heal, to encourage, or to uplift. That's a high standard. You don't have to hit it perfectly every time, but using it as a compass, a direction to move toward, can transform both your inner world and your relationships. Start noticing this week. Which conversations leave you feeling energized, expanded, open? And which ones leave you feeling depleted, heavy, closed? That's information. Follow it. How superstition works and what it reveals about the mind. Here's something fascinating that reveals just how powerful belief is: superstition. Why does a lucky charm work? Why does the person who carries their lucky item feel more confident, perform better, notice more opportunities? It's not because the item has magical properties. A rabbit's foot is just a rabbit's foot. A four-leaf clover is just a plant. But what the item does is create a state of expectancy in the person who believes in it. It says, to the subconscious, good things are coming. The conditions are favorable. Be open. And the subconscious, responding to that instruction, opens up. The person's radar for opportunity gets turned on. Their confidence rises, which affects how they carry themselves, which affects how others perceive and respond to them, which affects their outcomes. The charm didn't create the luck. The belief created the state of mind that attracted the luck. The charm was just the doorway to the belief. This is why, at a certain level of understanding, you outgrow the need for the charm, because you realize you don't need a physical object to access that state of expectancy. You can create it directly, through conscious belief, through deliberate thought, through your own inner knowing. The training wheels come off, and you're riding on faith alone, which is the most powerful vehicle there is. But here's what superstition teaches us beyond the obvious. The mind is extraordinarily responsive to what we tell it. Give it a narrative, any narrative, and it will find the evidence to support that narrative. Give it, I'm lucky, and it'll find luck. Give it, I'm cursed, and it'll find confirmation of that too. You're always writing the narrative. The only question is, are you writing it consciously, or are you letting old programs, old voices, old wounds write it for you? Non-resistance, the paradox that changes everything. Here's one of the most counterintuitive ideas in the entire framework of conscious living, and it's one that might genuinely change how you navigate your most challenging situations. Resistance makes things stronger, Whatever you resist, you energize. Whatever you fight against with fear and resentment and clenched jaw determination, you actually feed. Because your attention and your emotion are both creative forces, and they don't distinguish between I want this and I desperately don't want this. They just amplify whatever they're directed toward. This is why the person who is obsessed with debt keeps creating more debt. The person who is terrified of loneliness keeps pushing people away. The person who hates their job and constantly rails against it never seems to find a way out. The resistance itself is the trap. The alternative isn't passive resignation. It isn't giving up or accepting mistreatment or pretending bad things are good. It's something more sophisticated than any of that. It's choosing to remain undisturbed. To look at a difficult situation and say, this doesn't get to define my inner state. I see this, I acknowledge it, and I am still at peace. I am still on course. I still know what I know. Water is the model for this. Water doesn't fight the rock in its path. It doesn't slam against it in outrage. It doesn't cry about the injustice of the rock's existence. It simply flows around it, finds the opening, keeps moving, and over time, if the rock stays, the water actually reshapes the rock, not through force, through patient, steady, non-resistant persistence. Can you do that? Can you bring that quality of water to your biggest challenges? When someone irritates you, instead of matching their energy, instead of taking the bait and escalating, can you find your center and stay there? When a plan falls apart, instead of catastrophizing and spiraling, can you get curious? Can you look for the redirection, the alternative path, the unexpected gift that sometimes arrives dressed as a disaster? This is non-resistance. It's not weakness. It's one of the most advanced spiritual and psychological skills a human being can develop. And it's available to you right now in whatever situation you're currently facing. Blessing what you'd rather curse. One more thing before we leave this section, and it's a practice that sounds almost too simple to be real until you try it. Bless what you'd rather curse. The difficult colleague who makes your work harder. Bless them. The delayed opportunity that's testing your patience. Bless it. The competitor who seems to be getting everything you want. Bless them genuinely. The situation that feels like an obstacle. Bless it. This isn't toxic positivity. This isn't pretending the difficulty doesn't exist. It's recognizing something much deeper. That when you send genuine goodwill toward something or someone, you rob it of its power to disturb you. You remove yourself from a reactive position and step into a creative one. You stop being the person to whom things happen and start being the person who chooses their response to whatever happens. There's a saying worth carrying with you. Your enemy only has power over you through your reaction to them. When you bless them, genuinely, internally, you've cut the cord. They no longer have a hook in you, and that freedom is yours, not theirs. Try this as a practice this week. Identify one person or situation that's been generating friction in your life. And for 7 days, every time you think of it, send it a genuine blessing. Not gritted teeth, pretend blessing, real goodwill. I hope this works out for the highest good of everyone involved. See what shifts. The world changes when we stop fighting it and start flowing with it, consciously, wisely, and with full creative intention. Part 4. Love, Karma, and the invisible laws that govern everything you experience. You are living inside a law of return. Whatever you send out, in thought, in word, in action, in the subtle energy of your emotions and intentions, comes back to you, not as punishment, not as reward, but as a simple, mechanical, completely impartial reflection of what you've been broadcasting. This is karma, not in the scary supernatural sense that so many people misunderstand. Karma is simply Sanskrit for what returns, cause and effect, action and consequence, the game of boomerangs. And once you truly understand this, once it stops being a concept and becomes something you feel in your gut, your entire relationship to how you treat other people, how you think about other people, and how you engage with the world around you fundamentally changes. Because you realize there is no getting away with it. The universe keeps perfect accounts, not because some cosmic judge is watching and tallying up your misdeeds, but because the law of return is built into the fabric of reality. What goes out comes back, always, eventually, with astounding accuracy, as the old wisdom texts say. The return window. It's faster than you think. Here's something that might disturb you and free you simultaneously. The more spiritually aware you become, the faster karma returns. Not because you're being punished for having more knowledge, but because your sensitivity increases. Your awareness sharpens. The gap between cause and effect compresses. Things that might have taken years to return to an unconscious person return to a conscious person within weeks, days, sometimes hours. A woman once told this story about herself. She was at a social gathering and snapped at a friend in frustration, saying something sharp and dismissive. The very next day, in an important meeting she'd been preparing for weeks, someone spoke to her in almost exactly the same tone, in front of exactly the people she'd wanted to impress. The echo was unmistakable. The return was swift. She didn't need years of therapy to understand the connection. She got it immediately, and she made a different choice next time. This isn't about living in fear of cosmic retribution. It's about recognizing a tremendous gift. Your life is giving you real-time feedback. The friction you're experiencing in your relationships, your finances, your career, it's information. It's pointing to something in your own inner world that wants attention, wants adjustment, wants to be healed. What's the matter with you? Is always a more useful question than what's the matter with them? The law of forgiveness, your escape route from the cycle. But here's where it gets truly beautiful. Because the law of karma, the law of return, is not the final word. There is a higher law, a law that can interrupt the cycle, a law that can free you from the consequences of your own past thoughts, words, and actions. And that law is the law of forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't a feeling. You don't have to feel warm and fuzzy about the person you're forgiving. You don't have to agree with what they did. You don't have to welcome them back into your life or pretend the hurt didn't happen. Forgiveness is a decision, a conscious choice to release the energetic charge you're carrying around an experience or a person, to stop feeding the loop, to cut the cord and say, I am no longer invested in this grievance. I release it. I am free. The reason forgiveness is so powerful isn't really about the other person. It's about you, because unforgiveness is one of the heaviest things a human being can carry. It literally constricts your energy, closes your channel to good, and keeps you tethered to an experience that's already over, except in your mind, where you keep it alive by replaying it, resenting it, and defining yourself in relation to it. Every healer, every wise teacher, every tradition worth its salt says essentially the same thing. If you want your life to change, start by forgiving. Forgive the people who hurt you. Forgive the situations that disappointed you. Forgive yourself for the mistakes you've made and the time you feel you've wasted. Not because it's easy, because it's the key. Love as the master force. We need to talk about love, not the romantic, dependent, conditional, jealousy-laced version that most of us grew up being sold, but love as a fundamental force, as the deepest operating principle of reality. Real love is not possessive. It doesn't cling. It doesn't demand. It doesn't manipulate or control. Real love is what some call goodwill, a genuine desire for the well-being of another without needing anything in return. And here's what makes this practically revolutionary rather than just philosophically beautiful. Love, in this real sense, is the most effective strategy you have for getting what you want in every area of your life. Not a compromise, not a consolation prize for the spiritually advanced who've given up on actually winning. The most effective strategy. Here's why. When you love genuinely, when you operate from a baseline of goodwill toward other people, you become non-threatening, non-reactive, and powerfully magnetic. You stop leaking energy into resentment and defensiveness and jealousy and competition. You have all that energy available for creation. You move through the world with an openness that attracts openness back. Think about the sales professional who genuinely cares whether their product is right for each customer versus the one who only cares about closing the deal. Over time, who builds the deeper relationships, the stronger reputation, the more sustainable business? The one who loves genuinely. Think about the leader who genuinely wants to see their team succeed versus the one who's primarily interested in protecting their own position. Over time, who builds the more loyal, more productive, more innovative team? Goodwill is not weakness. It's the most powerful strategy available. The mirror of your relationships. Every relationship in your life is a mirror. This is one of those ideas that, once you really receive it, you can never unsee it. The people around you, the ones who frustrate you most, the ones who trigger you most reliably, the ones whose behavior gets under your skin in ways you can't quite explain, they are showing you something about yourself. Not necessarily that you behave in exactly the same way, but that somewhere inside you, there's a frequency match. Something in you resonates with what they're expressing. Otherwise, energetically, they wouldn't have the purchase on you that they do. The colleague whose arrogance drives you crazy. Is there a part of you that's afraid of your own potential and judgmental of it in others? The friend whose constant complaining exhausts you. Is there a part of you that does the same and hates that you do? The family member whose need for control suffocates you. Is there a place where you're trying to control outcomes from a place of fear? Again, this isn't about blame. It's about awareness. It's about using your relationships as a spiritual GPS. This thing is triggering me. That means there's information here. What is it? When you take this lens into your relationships, something remarkable happens. The resentment starts to lift. The judgment softens because you're no longer seeing the other person as someone doing something to you. You're seeing them as a messenger, perhaps an unwitting one, delivering information your soul needs. And from that place, you can actually choose how to respond. You're no longer reactive. You're intentional. You're no longer a victim of your relationships. You're a student of them. Living fully in the now, the antidote to regret and anxiety. There are two thieves that steal most people's lives. Most people know them well. They've probably stolen significant portions of yours already, the past and the future. The past shows up as regret, guilt, resentment, grief, and nostalgia. The future shows up as worry, anxiety, dread, and fantasy. And the present, the only place where your actual life is happening, the only place where you have any real power, gets squeezed into a sliver between these two relentless demands on your attention. But here's the thing. The past is not retrievable. It's gone. Every moment you spend in guilt or regret about it is a moment you're stealing from the only time you actually have. Now. And the future hasn't happened yet. Every moment you spend in anxiety about it is a moment spent in imagination, usually in the worst possible kind of imagination, picturing outcomes you don't want. This is not to say you shouldn't learn from the past or plan for the future. Wisdom lives in learning. Vision lives in planning. But there's a difference between a brief, conscious engagement with past or future for a specific purpose and a chronic, automatic, anxious loop that robs you of the only moment you ever actually have. The great spiritual traditions all point to the same practice. Be here, fully here, in this breath, in this conversation, in this task, in this meal, in this moment. When you're fully present, your subconscious is receiving clean, clear, vivid input, not the scrambled signal of yesterday's regrets mixed with tomorrow's fears. And the quality of what you create from presence is infinitely higher than what you create from distraction. One more thing. The past and the future are also where blame lives. And blame, whether of yourself or others, is one of the most expensive habits a human being can have. It uses enormous psychological energy to assign fault for something that's already done. That energy could be building your next chapter instead. Bless the past, learn from it, release it, and step fully into the extraordinary creative power of now. Part 5. Your Perfect Design. Finding the work only you can do. Let's go deeper now. Past abundance, past relationships, past the mechanics of the mind. Let's talk about purpose, because everything we've discussed, the power of thought, the law of return, the creative force of words, the practice of love and non-resistance, all of it is in service of something larger. And that larger thing is this. You were designed for something specific. There is a role only you can fill, a contribution only you can make, a life only you can live. And discovering and embodying that, expressing the full, authentic, purposeful version of yourself, is not just your opportunity. It's your responsibility. This might sound lofty. Stay with it. The blueprint in the superconscious. Remember the top floor of your mind. The superconscious? The part that operates above the everyday noise, above the anxiety and the self-doubt and the comparison and the fear. That floor holds your blueprint, not as a rigid prescription, not as a specific job title or relationship configuration or geographic location, but as a direction, a North Star, a sense of what your life is really about, what lights you up, what you're meant to offer, what would make your brief time on this planet feel genuinely, deeply meaningful. Most people have felt this. Most people have had moments, maybe long ago, maybe recently, where something sparked in them, where they were doing something and time disappeared, where they felt alive in a way that ordinary life doesn't quite deliver, where something in them said, quietly but clearly, this is what I'm for. And then usually the other voices came in. The practical voice, the scared voice, the voice of family expectation or financial pressure or social comparison. And the spark got covered over, and the blueprint got folded up and put in a drawer, and the person went back to doing what seemed reasonable. But the blueprint doesn't go away. It keeps showing up. In the recurring daydream, you can't quite shake. In the hobby, you keep saying you don't have time for, but can't stop thinking about. In the type of work that other people find tedious, but that you find fascinating. In the way certain conversations energize you and others deplete you. The blueprint is always there. The question is, are you listening for it? The demand that unlocks everything? Here's a specific practice for beginning to access your unique design. A declaration that, when made with genuine intention, has a way of starting a process that unfolds, sometimes slowly, sometimes with breathtaking speed. Say this out loud with full sincerity. Show me the design. Let the highest expression of what I'm here to do become clear to me. Let my gifts be revealed and released. Let me see the path that was made for me. Then pay attention, not in an anxious, grasping, checking for signs every 5 minutes way, but with quiet, open alertness. The answer will come through a conversation, a book that falls off a shelf, a passing comment from a stranger, a sudden clarity in a moment of stillness. The universe responds to genuine questions. It always has. It always will. And when the answer comes, even if it seems too big, even if it seems impractical, even if it seems not realistic for someone like me, write it down. Don't dismiss it. Don't immediately start calculating why it can't work. Just hold it. Let it breathe. Because here's what so many people get wrong about purpose. They approach it as a problem to be solved rather than a truth to be received. They try to logic their way to their calling, but purpose isn't primarily a logical construct. It's revealed, it's discovered, it arrives, often sideways, often when you're not looking directly at it, through the cracks in your ordinary life. The courage problem. Let's be honest about the real obstacle between most people and their purpose. It's not that they don't know deep down what they're meant for. Most people have at least a strong intuition, maybe multiple intuitions, maybe a clear, undeniable knowing that they've been suppressing for years. The real obstacle is fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of giving up security, fear of being too visible, fear of disappointing people who have different expectations of you, fear of finding out you're not as talented as you hoped, fear of trying and not making it. Fear is the guardian at the gate, and almost everyone experiences it on the path to their purpose. The question is not how to become fearless. Fearlessness is a myth, and chasing it is a distraction. The question is, can you feel the fear and keep moving toward the thing anyway? A young musician came to a crossroads in his mid-20s. He had a stable job in corporate finance. Good salary, reliable future, parents were proud. But music, which he'd practiced since childhood, kept calling him. He'd started writing songs that felt important, that felt like they came from somewhere deep and true. And every time he sat down at the piano, hours disappeared, and he felt like himself in a way his Monday to Friday never delivered. He was terrified. The logical case for staying in finance was overwhelming. The logical case for pursuing music was not logical at all. But he said this to himself every time the fear tried to close the door. The thing I'm afraid of is the thing I'm called to. The fear is pointing at the treasure. He didn't quit his job immediately. He built slowly. He played evenings and weekends. He wrote relentlessly. He showed his work. He got rejected. He kept going. 3 years later, his music found an audience that changed his life and the lives of many people who found meaning in what he created. The fear didn't go away. He just stopped letting it be the final word. Your talent is not optional. Here's a truth that's both motivating and a little sobering. The talent or capacity that was placed in you is not optional. It's not a gift you can quietly put away if it seems too hard or too risky. It's part of your design. And when you suppress it, when you bury it under practicality, under fear, under the expectations of others, something in you dims, not dramatically, not immediately, but over time. The person who has denied their deepest creative or expressive impulse for years starts to wear that denial. It shows up in subtle exhaustion, in a vague but persistent restlessness, in the feeling of watching your own life from a slight distance, as if you're never quite fully in it. This is the cost of self-betrayal, not imposed from outside, not a punishment, just the natural consequence of a life lived out of alignment. The antidote is permission. Permission to take your own gifts seriously. Permission to invest in them, to develop them, to share them imperfectly and vulnerably with the world. Permission to be the full, unapologetic, purposeful version of yourself, not someday, not when conditions are perfect, not when you feel ready, but now, because the world genuinely needs what you have. Not a perfected, fully polished, completely figured out version of you. Just you, showing up honestly with your specific set of gifts, your particular way of seeing, your unique voice. The telephone was seeking Alexander Bell. The discovery was already waiting for the discoverer. Your purpose is seeking you just as much as you're seeking it. Self-expression as spiritual practice. Here's a reframe that might shift everything for you. Expressing your authentic gifts is not self-indulgence. It's not vanity or ego. It's not doing what you love, as opposed to being responsible. It is the fulfillment of your deepest responsibility. Because you are not an isolated individual. You are part of a system, a human community, an ecosystem of gifts and needs and contributions and connections, and a part of that system that is uniquely you, your perspective, your talent, your way of engaging, your specific quality of presence. That part is irreplaceable. Nobody else has it. Nobody else can fill it. When you withhold your authentic self-expression, when you play small, stay invisible, suppress your gifts out of fear or habit or false modesty, you're not being humble. You're actually diminishing the collective. You're leaving a gap that only you can fill. This is not pressure. It's an invitation. It's actually one of the most freeing ideas available. Your full expression isn't just good for you. It's a gift to the world. And the world is waiting for it. Part 6. Faith in Action. How to bridge the gap between desire and reality. Here's where everything we've discussed gets real, where it moves from theory to practice, from philosophy to daily living, from inspiration to transformation. Because knowing these principles isn't enough. You can read every book on conscious living, watch every documentary, follow every thought leader, and still wake up on Monday morning running the same old programs if you don't know how to actually implement what you've learned. This section is about the doing, about faith, not as a passive, wishful state, but as an active, engaged, committed practice about the specific steps you can take, starting today, to bridge the gap between the life you're living and the life you know, at some deep level, is possible for you. Faith without action is just daydreaming. Let's start with something blunt. You can think positive thoughts all day and nothing will change unless you move. The law of attraction, real as it is not a vending machine. You don't insert your visualization and wait for the universe to deliver. You co-create with the universe. You set the intention. The universe arranges the conditions. But you have to walk through the doors when they open. You have to show up for the opportunities when they appear. You have to take the step, make the call, send the message, start the project. Action is the physical expression of faith. It's what tells your subconscious and the universe that you're serious, that this isn't just a pleasant fantasy, that you actually expect this to happen and are prepared to meet it. Think of it like a dance. Your thoughts set the music. Your words invite the partner. But your actions are the actual steps. Without the steps, you're just standing on the dance floor thinking about dancing. The question is, what step is right in front of you that you've been not taking? Not the whole staircase, not the entire path, just the next step. The single, concrete, specific action that, if you took it today, would be a genuine expression of faith in the direction you want to move. Maybe it's making the phone call you've been avoiding, registering for the course, starting the first page, showing up to the meeting, saying yes to the thing that scares you, saying no to the thing that's draining you, to say yes to the thing that calls you. Just the next step. Faith is almost always one step in front of you, not the whole journey, just the next step. The lead, learning to listen and act. There's a specific kind of guidance available to you that most people either don't know exists or don't trust enough to follow. The spiritual traditions call it different things. Intuition, revelation, the still small voice, the lead. It's that sudden thought that arrives out of nowhere, that sense of being pulled toward something without being able to fully explain why. That feeling in your gut that says, go there, or call them, or write that down, or don't take this path, take that one. Most of us have been trained to dismiss this. Our culture valorizes the rational, the logical, the evidence-based. And while there's tremendous value in all of that, it doesn't account for the full range of human intelligence. The intuitive faculty is real. It accesses information that the rational mind can't reach. Pattern recognition, happening below conscious awareness. Subtle signals from the environment that register before they can be explained. Genuine guidance from the superconscious self. The practice is simple to describe and challenging to develop. Ask for the lead, then be willing to act on what arrives. Before you begin your day, ask, what do I need to know today? Where am I being led? What is the right action for me to take? Then stay alert, not anxiously scanning, but receptively open, like a radio that's been tuned to the right frequency and is quietly receiving the signal. When a thought comes, especially an unexpected one that doesn't obviously connect to what you were thinking about, one that might seem irrelevant or impractical, consider it. Don't immediately apply logic to dismiss it. Let it sit for a moment. Ask yourself, is there something here? Is this the next step? There's a woman who had been looking for a mentor in her field for months, networking in all the obvious places, making all the obvious moves with no results. One evening, for no apparent reason, she had a sudden urge to take a different route home from the gym. A route that took her past a coffee shop she'd never been to. Something pulled her in. She sat down, opened her laptop. 20 minutes later, someone sat at the table next to her, noticed what she was working on, and struck up a conversation. That person became the mentor she'd been looking for. It led directly to a career breakthrough that changed the trajectory of the next 5 years. Was that luck? She doesn't think so. And once you start paying attention to these moments in your own life, the times a seemingly random nudge led somewhere meaningful, you might stop thinking so too. Casting the burden. The art of letting go. One of the most important and most difficult practices in conscious living is the practice of releasing, of handing things over, of doing what you can do, and then genuinely, trustingly letting go of the outcome. Most of us, especially those of us who are driven and ambitious and care deeply about our lives, have a hard time with this. We've been told that success comes to those who grip tightest, who outwork everyone, who never stop pushing. And while persistence and commitment are genuinely valuable, there's a kind of white-knuckled control that actually works against us. Because when you're holding a situation so tightly, when you're trying to manage every variable, when you're checking and rechecking and worrying and manipulating, you're in your head, in your fear, in your limitation. You're not giving space for the superconscious to work. You're not allowing the unexpected, the miraculous, the solution that you couldn't have planned for to enter. The act of releasing, of saying, I've done what I can do. I've set the intention. I've taken the step. I've spoken the word. I've prepared. And now I trust, is not giving up. It's actually the most powerful move available. Here's a specific practice. When you notice yourself spiraling on a problem, running the same anxious loop, trying to force a solution, unable to let it rest, try saying this out loud if possible. I cast this burden. I release this to the highest intelligence within me and around me. I trust that the perfect solution is already in motion. I let go. Then literally, do something else. Go for a walk. Make tea. Call a friend. Do something with your hands. Get out of your head and into your body. Give your superconscious room to work. You may be surprised by what arrives. Ideas that come in the shower. Solutions that appear in a half-awake state. Sudden clarity about a path forward. These aren't accidents. They're what happens when you stop gripping and start trusting. Affirmations that actually work. A practical guide. We've already touched on affirmations, but let me give you something more concrete. A set of practices and specific words that, used consistently, genuinely transform the programming of your subconscious mind. First, the principles. Speak them aloud. The vibration of your own voice in your own ears carries a particular authority. Something shifts when you hear yourself say a thing rather than just think it. Speak in the present tense. Not, I will be healthy, but I am healthy. Not, I will have enough, but I have enough. The present tense instructs the subconscious that this is current reality, not future hope. Attach emotion. As you speak the affirmation, simultaneously feel what it would feel like if it were already true. Let the emotion be real in your body, even for just a moment. Be consistent, not obsessive, consistent. Morning and evening, even for just a few minutes. This is a training process. You're installing new software over old. It takes repetition. Don't fight the resistance. When doubt arises, this is silly, this isn't working, this isn't true, don't argue with it. Just let the thought pass and return to the affirmation, like meditation. The thought isn't you. just return. Here are affirmations that carry genuine power. Feel free to adapt any of them to your specific circumstances. For abundance, I am an open channel for all the abundance that is mine by divine right. Large sums of money and rich resources come to me easily and often in perfect ways. For guidance, I am always under direct inspiration. My right path reveals itself clearly, and I follow it with ease and confidence. For relationships, I attract and maintain relationships that are loving, honest, and mutually uplifting. I give and receive love freely. For health, every cell of my body is filled with vitality. My mind and body work together in perfect harmony. For purpose, the perfect expression of my gifts is clear to me. I step into my highest calling with courage and joy. For peace, none of these things disturb me. I am rooted in peace. I am anchored in trust. I am free. When things go sideways, the deeper reading of difficult times. Here's something that takes time to truly believe, but that has been confirmed by too many people's experience to dismiss. The times that felt like your worst, the loss, the failure, the ending, the breakdown, were often the things that made your best possible, not because suffering is noble, not because you needed to be broken to grow, but because sometimes, often, the thing that looks like a wall is actually a redirection. The relationship that ended wasn't your last chance at love. It was the clearing of space for the right one. The job that disappeared wasn't the end of your career. It was the push toward the work you were actually meant to do. The plan that fell apart wasn't the death of your dream. It was the revision of a plan that wasn't quite aligned with your highest good. This doesn't make the hard things easy. It doesn't mean you should bypass the grief or skip the difficulty. Feel all of it. Process all of it, but hold it lightly enough to stay curious, to ask, what is this making space for? Where is this redirecting me? What is the version of this story where this is not the tragedy, but the turning point? Because when you look back, honestly, with enough distance, you'll often find that what felt like the worst thing was, in fact, the beginning of the best chapter. Not in spite of the difficulty. Through it, trust the process. Trust your own resilience. Trust that the intelligence which designed you has not abandoned you in your hardest moments. It hasn't. It never does. Part 7. The complete game. Putting all the pieces together and living it every day. We've covered a lot of ground together. We've explored the architecture of your mind and why it works the way it does. We've looked at the creative power of thought, of imagination, of emotion, of your spoken words. We've talked about abundance as a law, not a lottery. We've examined love, karma, forgiveness, non-resistance, and purpose. We've discussed faith as an active practice and intuition as a real navigational tool. Now, let's bring it all together. Let's talk about what it actually looks like to live this, not just understand it, not just be inspired by it, but genuinely embody it as a daily way of being. Because that's the real work, not the insight moments, not the goosebump breakthroughs, the daily, unglamorous, deeply meaningful work of showing up for your own life with full consciousness, full responsibility, and full creative engagement. The morning that changes everything. How you begin your day is not a trivial thing. It's the first broadcast of your morning, the initial instruction to your subconscious as it wakes up and begins its faithful, tireless work on your behalf. Most people begin their day by immediately consuming news, social media, the anxious thoughts that were waiting at the edges of sleep, other people's narratives, other people's crises, other people's definitions of what's important and what's scary. Before you've had a moment to center yourself, you're already being shaped by external forces, already receiving a flood of inputs that, more often than not, trigger your negativity bias, amplify your anxiety, and start your day from a place of reaction rather than creation. What if you did something radically different? What if you gave yourself just 10 minutes? That's all, 10 minutes before the world gets in, before the phone, before the news, before the to-do list comes roaring in. 10 minutes that belong entirely to you. Use them like this: gratitude first, not performative gratitude, real gratitude. Think of 3 specific things: experiences from yesterday, people in your life, capacities of your body, aspects of your situation that you genuinely appreciate. Feel the appreciation, not just think it. Let it land in your chest. This primes your subconscious with the frequency of abundance before you even get out of bed. Then set your intention, not a to-do list. An intention, a quality, a way of being you want to carry into the day. Today, I move with ease and confidence. Today, I am open to unexpected good. Today, I am fully present with everyone I meet. Today, miracles are possible. One sentence is enough. Make it one you genuinely believe. Then speak your affirmations. 2 or 3 spoken aloud, the ones that address your current growing edges, the places where you're actively working to shift your beliefs. Say them with feeling. Then ask for guidance. Show me what I need to know today. Guide my steps. Let me be used for good. Let the right things happen. 10 minutes every morning. If you do this consistently for 30 days, you will not be the same person at the end of those 30 days. The accumulation is real. The reprogramming is real. The results are real. The evening that seals the day. Bookending your day is equally important, because the hours just before sleep are when the subconscious is most receptive. The gatekeeper of conscious resistance is lowered, and whatever you feed, it goes in deeply and durably. Most people send themselves to sleep with news, screens, anxiety about tomorrow, or mentally reviewing everything that went wrong today. This is equivalent to planting seeds of fear and lack in the most fertile garden. What if you ended your day differently? First, release. Go through the day and identify anything you're carrying that doesn't serve you. Resentments, worries, frustrations, comparisons. Name them. Then consciously release them. I let go of this. It has no power over me. I am at peace. Then harvest. Look for 3 things that went right today. Even small things. The conversation that connected. The moment of unexpected beauty. The task completed. The kindness exchanged. Train your brain to end the day on evidence of goodness. Then seed tomorrow. As you drift toward sleep, hold a clear, positive image of tomorrow. Not planning, imaging. See yourself moving through your day with confidence and ease. See the important things going well. See yourself as the person you're becoming. Your subconscious will work on that all night. And you'll wake up with momentum already in your body. The hard moments. What to do when it falls apart. Even with all of this, even with the practices, the affirmations, the daily intention setting, there will be hard days. There will be moments when the fear comes in like a tide, when the doubt is overwhelming, when nothing seems to be working and you feel like a fraud for believing any of this. These moments are not failures, they are tests. And the way you respond to them is what determines whether you're truly integrating this work or just skating on its surface. Here's what to do when it falls apart. Don't pretend. Feel the hard feeling. Acknowledge the difficulty. Don't gaslight yourself with forced positivity. I see that this is hard. I feel the fear. I acknowledge the difficulty. And I am still here. Ground yourself physically. When the mind spirals, drop into the body. Walk. Breathe slowly and deliberately. Put your feet on the ground. Drink a glass of water. The body is always in the present. Return to it. Return to what you know. In the worst moments, you don't need new information. You need to reconnect with the truths you already have. Go back to an affirmation you trust. Return to a practice that has worked before. Read something that has inspired you. Connect with someone who sees you clearly and speaks to your highest self. Ask for help from a trusted person, from whatever you understand as the higher intelligence available to you. You don't have to do this alone. One of the bravest things you can ever do is say, I'm struggling and I need support, to a friend, to a mentor, to the universe itself. Remember, this too is in the process. The darkness before the dawn is real. The difficulty before the breakthrough is real. The disruption before the new order is real. If you can stay grounded in the knowledge that this hard moment is not the final word, that you are in a process, you can move through it without being defined by it. The person you are becoming. Let's end this section and this whole guide with something important. You are not who you were when you started reading this. Something has shifted, maybe small, maybe significant. Maybe you've had a realization that's going to change a specific decision you make this week. Maybe something in you has opened, an old belief is loosening its grip, a new possibility is coming into focus. The person who lives consciously, who understands that their thoughts create their reality, who takes responsibility for their inner world, who works with the laws of mind rather than against them, that person is not extraordinary in the way our culture typically defines extraordinary. They don't necessarily have more talent, more privilege, more opportunity than anyone else. What they have is awareness, and awareness, applied consistently, is the most powerful competitive advantage available to any human being. You have this now. You've always had the capacity for it. This guide has only reminded you of what was already there. The question is, what will you do with it? Not someday, not when things settle down, not when you feel more ready or more worthy or more certain. Now, this week, with the life you have, in the circumstances you're in, with the resources available to you today. Because here's the final truth of the game of life. It is never about the perfect conditions. It's never about having everything figured out before you begin. The people who win, who live with genuine abundance, purpose, love, and peace, are not the ones who had the easiest path. They're the ones who chose deliberately and repeatedly to engage fully, to play the game consciously, to bring their whole selves to the grand, messy, magnificent experience of being alive. You are already in the game. You have always been in the game. Now you know the rules. Play like it. Part 8. The laws in practice. Real scenarios, real shifts. Everything up to this point has been foundational. Now let's get granular. Let's look at specific, common life situations and how the laws we've discussed apply in practical terms. Because the gap between theory and life is where most people get stuck. Understanding the law of non-resistance in the abstract is one thing. Knowing what to actually do when your business partner blindsides you, when your health scare hits, when the relationship unravels, that's where the real work is. Scenario 1, financial pressure. You're behind on bills. The number in your bank account is not the number you need it to be. You open your banking app and feel that familiar knot of dread in your stomach. Here's what most people do: panic, freeze, obsessively calculate, scroll through worst-case scenarios, complain to anyone who'll listen, and go to sleep rehearsing the problem instead of the solution. And here's what the person who understands the law does, not instead of practical action, but as the foundation of practical action. Step 1. Stop broadcasting fear. Fear of lack creates more lack, not as punishment, as physics. Your subconscious is currently being flooded with images of scarcity. You have to interrupt that pattern deliberately. Step 2. Find your genuine abundance right now, not denial. True recognition. You have air in your lungs. You have a mind that's working. You have access to this information. You have relationships, skills, experiences, capacities that are real and valuable. Bless them. Mean it. Step 3. Speak the word out loud. There is a supply for every demand. The way to my financial solution is already open. I am guided to right action. Unexpected good comes to me now. Step 4. Ask for the lead. What is the right move for me right now? Show me. Then, and this is critical, act on what comes, not the anxious scrambling, the quiet, clear lead. Step 5. Do something that expresses faith rather than fear, even if it's small. The woman who bought Christmas wrapping paper with almost nothing in her account was doing this. The man who bought the expensive coat was doing this. Not recklessly, but as a genuine signal that you believe abundance is real and available. The practical action still matters. Make the calls. Look for the opportunities. Do the work. But do it from a centered, expectant, trusting place, rather than a frantic, fearful one. The energy you bring to the action determines the quality of what you attract. Scenario 2. A relationship in crisis. The relationship is strained. Communication has broken down. There's distance or conflict or betrayal or simply a slow drift that's left you both on opposite banks of a river you used to cross easily. Most people in this situation either cling harder, trying to control the other person through guilt, demands, or suffocation, or they detach in anger and build higher walls. Here's the conscious approach. First, look at your own inner world. What's happening in you? Where are you closed, defended, resentful, fearful? What do you want from this person that you haven't been able to ask for directly? What are you bringing to the dynamic that might be contributing to the distance? Then release your grip on the outcome. The most counterintuitive thing you can do in a relationship that feels like it's slipping away is to relax your grip, not abandon, release, trust. If this relationship is for my highest good, I cannot lose it. And if it's not, I trust that what's right for me is coming. Then send genuine goodwill. Every day in your inner world, send the other person love. Not please come back pleading love. Not you owe me demanding love. Just genuine goodwill. I hope you're well. I see your divinity even when I can't see your kindness. I hold space for the best version of both of us. This doesn't guarantee the relationship will be saved. Sometimes the highest good is a conscious, loving completion. But it does guarantee that you will move through this situation with greater grace, and that whatever comes next will be shaped by your love rather than your fear. Scenario 3. Career stagnation. You've been in the same place, metaphorically, professionally, for too long. The growth has stopped. The work feels uninspiring, You're competent, you're reliable, but you feel like you're living someone else's life rather than your own. Start with honesty. Is this a situation that needs to be changed from within, or is it time to genuinely move? These are very different diagnoses. Sometimes the stagnation is internal. You've stopped growing in a situation that still has room. Sometimes it's genuinely time to close a chapter. Ask for clarity, not from your anxious mind, from your superconscious. Show me clearly what my next right step is, not what I think I should do, not what makes sense on paper. What is my next right step? Then listen with genuine openness to what arrives over the coming days. Start bringing your full self to the work you have right now. This seems counterintuitive when you want to leave, but it's important. The energy you bring to your current situation determines what you attract next. Phoning it in, going through the motions, investing minimally, these don't just affect your current performance. They affect the frequency you're broadcasting, and that frequency is what the next chapter picks up from. Develop your gift in the margins, the morning before work, the hour in the evening, the weekend. Whatever the thing is that you feel called to, write the pages, code the prototype, practice the skill, develop the idea. Don't wait for permission or perfect conditions. Start from where you are with what you have. The path forward reveals itself to the person who is moving. Scenario 4. Health and the mind-body connection. This is where the laws we've discussed become most personal, most intimate. Because your body is not separate from your mind. It is, in very direct ways, an expression of it. This is not to say that illness is always the result of wrong thinking. That would be both oversimplified and cruel. Bodies are complex, genetics are real, environmental factors are real, but the mind-body connection is also real, documented, and profound. Chronic stress suppresses immunity. Prolonged resentment contributes to inflammation. Persistent anxiety affects heart health. Sustained joy and purpose are associated with longer, healthier lives. The connection is not metaphor, it's physiology, which means the work of conscious living is also, directly and practically, the work of physical well-being. Release resentment, not just for peace of mind, but for your body's health. Every study on forgiveness shows physiological benefits. Lower blood pressure, improved immune function, reduced cortisol. Your body knows when you let go. Practice gratitude for your body right now, not when it's performing perfectly. Now, the lungs that breathe without your direction, the heart that beats without your intervention, the remarkable, intelligent, resilient system that keeps you here. Speak to it with appreciation, not criticism. Hold the vision of health, not desperately, not as denial of your current reality, but as a genuine expectation. The subconscious responds to the images you hold. Hold the image of vitality. Follow the body's own wisdom. Your body sends signals constantly about what it needs, what harms it, what restores it. In the noise of modern life, most people have learned to override these signals. Part of conscious living is learning to tune back in, to eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full, to rest when you're tired, to move when you're stagnant, to be still when you're overstimulated. Your body is not your enemy. It's your most honest ally. Treat it accordingly. The daily commitment, a practical framework. Let's make this utterly concrete. Here is a framework you can use every single day to maintain conscious engagement with the laws we've explored. A template for the life you're building. Morning, 10 minutes, 3 genuine gratitudes, specific, felt one daily intention. A quality or way of being 2 to 3 affirmations, spoken aloud, with emotion. Ask for guidance, and listen throughout the day. Notice your words. Redirect when needed. Follow intuitive leads. Act on the nudges. Apply non-resistance. Flow around obstacles. Send goodwill, especially where it's hardest. Evening, 10 minutes. Release the day. Let go of what you don't need to carry, harvest the good. Find 3 things that went right. Seed tomorrow. Visualize your next day going well. Express gratitude for the day exactly as it was weekly. Review your current affirmations. Do they still feel right? Identify one area where you're resisting and practice releasing. Ask, where am I being called? Am I moving toward it? Acknowledge your growth. You are not who you were a week ago. This is not a rigid prescription. It's a structure. Adapt it to your life, your rhythm, your personality. But give it a real try before you decide it doesn't work. The compounding is real. 30 days of consistent practice will show you something that 30 minutes of inspiration never could. Part 9. The highest form of the game. Becoming the person who plays fearlessly. We're approaching the end of our time together, and I want to spend these final pages on something that matters more than all the techniques and practices we've discussed. Something that is both the foundation and the summit of everything we've explored. The quality of person you're becoming. Because ultimately, the game of life is not really about attracting the right circumstances. It's not really about manifesting the house or the relationship or the bank balance, as real and valuable as all of those things can be. It's about who you become in the process of learning to play consciously. It's about the development of character, of courage, of genuine love, of authentic freedom. What does it mean to play fearlessly? Playing fearlessly doesn't mean being without fear. We've established that. Fear is a visitor that will come regardless. Playing fearlessly means that fear no longer has the final vote on what you do. Think about what that actually means in your life. The decisions you'd make if fear weren't the deciding factor. The conversations you'd have, the projects you'd launch, the love you'd express, the opinions you'd share, the no's you'd finally say to the things that drain you, the yeses you'd finally say to the things that call you. Fearless playing is not recklessness. It's not leaping without looking. It's the mature, grounded, fully awake engagement with your life that says, I feel the risk. I acknowledge the uncertainty. I understand that there are no guarantees, and I choose to move forward anyway because the alternative, staying small to stay safe, is not actually safety. It's just a slower kind of diminishment. The person who plays fearlessly makes decisions from vision rather than from fear. They ask, what do I want to create, rather than what am I afraid of losing? They move toward rather than away from. They build rather than protect. They open rather than close. And here's the beautiful thing. Fearless playing becomes its own reward, not because it always leads to the outcomes you hoped for. Sometimes it doesn't. But because the experience of living fully, of showing up completely, of engaging authentically with your own life, that experience is its own form of richness, its own form of success. The 4 corners of the complete life. The ancient wisdom teaching identifies 4 elements of the complete, fulfilled human life, not as luxuries or ideals, but as the full expression of your nature as a conscious, creative being. The square of life, as it's sometimes called, health, not just the absence of disease, genuine, vibrant, energized physical well-being, a body that serves your purpose with strength and ease, the energy to show up fully for your life, your work, your relationships. Abundance, not hoarding, not greed, but genuine, flowing, generous material sufficiency, enough that lack is not a constant background hum in your life, enough to give freely, enough to live with ease and option and generosity. Love in all its forms, the intimacy of a deep partnership, the warmth of genuine friendship, the bond of family when it's healthy, the broader sense of human connection and belonging, being known and knowing others, giving and receiving with genuine openness, perfect self-expression, doing the work you were made to do, contributing your specific gift, living in the alignment of who you actually are rather than who you think you're supposed to be, feeling the deep satisfaction of offering something real and true to the world. These four together constitute the complete life, not a perfect life. Perfection in the human sense is neither possible nor particularly interesting, but a complete life, a full life, a life in which all four fundamental dimensions of your humanity are genuinely nourished. Look at your life right now. Which of these four is richest? Which is most depleted? Where is the imbalance that, if addressed, would most change the quality of your experience? That's where your next chapter begins. The art of right receiving. There's a practice that doesn't get enough attention in conversations about conscious living, and it's one that is quietly blocking many people's good. The practice of right receiving. Many people are excellent givers. They offer generously of their time, their energy, their resources. They show up for others. They contribute. Willingly, they give with open hands. But then someone offers something to them, a compliment, a gift, an opportunity, a helping hand, and something contracts. They deflect. Oh, it's nothing. They minimize. You didn't have to do that. They refuse. No, I'm fine. You keep it. This is not humility. It's a closed channel. The law of giving and receiving is a complete circuit. Both sides must be open for the energy to flow. When you refuse to receive, whether out of pride, unworthiness, or the belief that accepting makes you a burden, you're not just limiting what comes to you. You're actually interrupting the flow for the person who wanted to give. Receiving gracefully, with genuine gratitude and openness, is itself a gift. It completes the circuit. It honors the impulse of the giver. It models for others that it's safe and good to accept help and generosity. Practice saying thank you and nothing else when a compliment comes. Practice accepting an offered hand, a kind act, a generous gesture with simple, genuine appreciation. Practice being a good receiver as actively as you practice being a good giver. The universe needs open channels on both ends. The bigger picture. You as a force for good. Let's zoom all the way out for a moment. You are not just an individual navigating a personal life. You are a consciousness embedded in a larger web of life. Your growth affects the people around you. Your healing affects the people who are connected to you. Your awakening, your movement from unconscious reaction to conscious creation, ripples outward in ways you may never fully see. When you do your inner work, you don't just change yourself. You change how you show up in every relationship, every interaction, every room you walk into. You become someone who uplifts others simply by the quality of your presence, someone whose words heal rather than harm, someone whose way of being gives others silent permission to also show up more fully, more authentically, more consciously. This is why personal development is not self-indulgence. It is, at its best, a form of service. Because the most valuable thing you can contribute to the world is the fullest, most awake, most genuinely loving version of yourself. Your peace contributes to peace. Your abundance contributes to generosity. Your love contributes to the healing of the world's deficit of love. Your courage contributes to the courage of everyone who witnesses it. You matter more than you know. Your inner life matters more than you know. The game you play in the private theater of your own mind ripples out in every direction. Play it well, play it consciously, play it with love. A final word. The game is yours to win. You came into this world with everything you need, not everything you need to live a perfect, painless, always successful life, but everything you need to live a meaningful, creative, deeply engaged life. Everything you need to grow, to love, to contribute, to experience the genuine richness that is available to any human being who chooses to engage fully with the laws that govern their experience. The rules of the game are not complicated, even when living them is challenging. Your thoughts create your reality. Choose them with care and intention. Your words carry power. Speak life, not death. Speak possibility, not limitation. Your subconscious is faithful. Feed it what you want to grow. Abundance is real and available. Open your channel to receive it. Love is the master strategy. Apply it everywhere, especially where it's hardest. Non-resistance is not weakness. It's the most sophisticated power available to you. Your purpose is real and waiting. Listen for it. Move toward it. Live it out loud. Faith without action is incomplete. Ask, then move. Intend, then prepare. Trust, then act. The game is always yours to play. Nobody can take that from you. Nobody can live your life for you. Nobody can claim your potential. It belongs to you absolutely, unconditionally, from now until forever. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not too damaged or too limited or too far from where you want to be. You are exactly where you are, which is exactly where your next chapter begins. The game is on. Play it with everything you have. Final chapter. Affirmations, declarations, and the words that seal your intention. We close with words because that's how it began, with the understanding that words are not decoration, not exhaust, not just sounds in the air. Words are creative force. And these final words are an invitation to make them yours. Read these aloud. Feel each one before you move to the next. Let the ones that land particularly powerfully stay with you. Write them on cards. Put them where you'll see them. Speak them when you need them most, especially when you need them most. For prosperity and abundance, God, the universe, is my unfailing supply. I am a clear, open, grateful channel, and abundance flows to me easily, joyfully, and often. Large sums of money reach me in perfect and unexpected ways. I release every belief that abundance is not for me. I release every idea that I must suffer to deserve good. I am made of the same substance as everything that exists, and everything that exists is available to me. My work creates real value in the world, and I am richly compensated for it. My gifts are needed and appreciated. The right people find me at the right time. I give freely and fearlessly, knowing that as I release, I make room for more. My generosity is itself a form of faith, and faith is always answered. For health and vitality. My body is intelligent, resilient, and wise. Every system within me knows how to heal, how to restore, how to renew. I release every thought that has contributed to anything less than my fullest vitality. I choose health. I choose strength. I choose aliveness in every cell. I treat my body with respect and love. I listen to its wisdom. I honor its needs. I appreciate its extraordinary faithfulness. For love and relationships, I am worthy of deep, authentic, generous love. I give it freely and receive it gratefully. I release every person from the expectation that they complete me. I am already whole. What I seek in relationship is not completion. It is companionship, partnership, the joy of sharing wholeness with another. I forgive, I release, I open my heart fully without the armor of old hurts. Love is safe for me. Connection is safe for me. I am safe. I see the highest in everyone I meet. I salute the divinity in every person, and in doing so, I call it forth. For guidance and purpose, my path is clear, and I walk it with confidence. The right doors open at exactly the right time. The right people appear exactly when they are needed. I am fully equipped for everything my life requires of me. I have what it takes. I am enough. The genius within me is released. The gift I was born with is being expressed. The contribution I came to make is finding its way into the world. I follow every intuitive lead with trust and courage. I am guided. I am protected. I am exactly where I need to be. For peace and inner freedom, nothing disturbs me. I am centered in a peace that does not depend on circumstances. I cast every burden. I release every worry. I let go of every outcome I have been gripping with white-knuckled determination and trust the intelligence of life to work on my behalf. I am free, free from fear, free from the past, free from the expectations of others, free to be exactly, fully, unapologetically who I am. I am enough. I have enough. I do enough. I am worthy of the full experience of life. The declaration that closes the game and opens it again. I now stand in the truth of who I am, a conscious, creative, beloved expression of life itself. I have access to infinite wisdom, infinite supply, infinite love. I play this game with open eyes, open hands, and an open heart. I ask for the divine design of my life to be made manifest. I ask for my gifts to be expressed fully. I ask for the courage to show up completely. I ask for love to be my primary language. I go forward from this moment in faith, not in fear, in trust, not in anxiety, in abundance, not in lack. The game is played, and I am playing it well.